Oh, in this video, I would like to illustrate the principle of crystallization. And before I talk about crystallization, I must talk about a concept called solubility, 溶解度. And what means by solubility is that if a substance at a given temperature and we have a given amount of solvent, what is the maximum amount of it can dissolve? 咁我就係話有一嚿嘅 substance 咧，我喺一個特定嘅溫度之下，我如果有一個特定 amount 嘅 solvent 嘅時候，我究竟可以溶到幾多嘅佢落去？當佢溶到盡嘅時候咧，我哋就叫做佢 reach 咗佢最高嗰個 solubility 啦。And that solution we call is saturated solution 叫飽和溶液啦。And let's say for this chart, I show you the solubility of copper 2 sulfate under different temperature. And let's imagine if you are given, a beaker of copper 2 sulfate, and then there's 100 grams of water. Oh, and maybe you can have a look at 40 degrees Celsius. What is the solubility of copper 2 sulfate? Okay, it should be 30 grams. Can you see it? 30 grams of copper 2 sulfate can be dissolved in 100 grams of water at 40 degrees Celsius. 咁啊，你就咁拉條線就見到啦。And another condition maybe, again, 60 degrees Celsius, and then 100 grams of water. Or how many grams of copper sulfate can be dissolved? Okay, 40 grams. And I think you can see a general trend here already is that for copper sulfate, as the temperature increases from 0 to 80 degrees Celsius, the solubility of it increases in water. 越高溫嘅，越多嘅 copper sulfate 咧，可以溶喺同樣 amount 嘅 solvent 入邊啦。咁呢個就第一樣睇到嘅嘢啦喎。Oh, and let's say if I give you a condition that is under 40 degrees Celsius, okay, and then you have 50 grams of water, then this time, how many grams of copper sulfate that can dissolve? Oh, and if you refer to this chart, under 40 degrees Celsius, if you have 100 grams of water, then maximally it can dissolve 30 grams of copper sulfate. Then now you are given only half the amount of water. 係嘛？我俾咗一半嘅水，一半嘅 solvent 俾你。Then what do you think? How many grams of copper sulfate that can dissolve? Of course, half. Originally, in 100 grams of it, you can dissolve 30 grams. Then now you are just the half the amount of copper sulfate that can be dissolved. And my question here is that if you are given a copper sulfate solution and then you put inside 30 grams of copper sulfate dissolved in 100 grams of water, 我已經咧有一個喺40度嘅solution 啦，我咧已經將咧30 grams 嘅 copper sulfate 溶咗去100 grams 度嘅水入邊啦。And what if I further allow it to undergo heating and then part of the water is evaporated? What will happen? And let's say maybe the final amount is 50 grams of water. 我不斷煲佢啦嘛，蒸乾佢，直到咧佢個水嘅份量由100降低到50，有啲咩事會發生？ And originally, it can totally dissolve 30 grams of copper sulfate. And then under the new condition, because some of the solvent it has been removed, it escaped, it evaporated, it just go away. And then only 50 grams of copper sulfate can be dissolved in this amount of, that is 50 grams of water. Then what happened to those that cannot be dissolved anymore? Okay, they will undergo crystallization. 佢哋會咧俾人逼咗出嚟。咁佢哋因為用唔晒 because those solid they can no longer be dissolved in water, so they will be squeezed out, they will be crystallized as a solid. And this process is called crystallization. And it is also one of the methods how we can make the crystal. Is that originally we have a solution that is a saturated solution. That means under that temperature, under that amount of solvent, we dissolve the solid to its maximum amount. And then if I change the condition, let's say if I decrease the amount of solvent, then less solid can be dissolved, then the extra solid will be squeezed out as the crystal. And this is the first method. Oh, and the thing about another case is that if I change the temperature from 60 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius, and originally, here maybe I call it case 2, originally I dissolved 40 gram of copper sulfate in 100 gram of water already under 60 degrees Celsius, and then I suddenly cool it down from 60 degrees Celsius to 40 degrees Celsius. What will happen? 我諗啦喎，原本60度嘅100 gram 水最多用到幾多？我已經用到佢盡啦，係嘛？我用到40 gram。而家我將佢降溫，最多用到幾多 gram 呢？Oh, and under this new condition, the maximum amount of copper sulfate that can be dissolved will be reduced to this amount, 30 gram. And originally, because we already dissolved 40 gram of copper sulfate in 100 gram of water under 60 degrees Celsius, and now because we cool it down, less copper sulfate can be dissolved from this amount, 40 gram originally, reduced to 30 gram only. It means that 10 gram of the copper sulfate that can no longer be dissolved in the water. Then what will happen? Again, crystallization. And these are actually the two ways for us to perform the crystallization. The first one is that by heating, and then to remove some of the solvent and then some extra solid that cannot be dissolved, and then they will be squeezed out as a solid, as a crystal, is the first method. And then the other method is by cooling it down, because for most of the solid, if you cool down the temperature, you decrease the temperature, then its solubility will be lower. Then the extra amount of solid will also come out as the crystal. 咁啊，兩個方法啦，我哋點樣做 crystallization 同埋背後嘅原理係啲咩嘢啦？ And there is one thing I have to mention is that the slower you make the crystal, you perform the crystallization, the bigger the crystal you can get, and also this should be more pure.